Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire DeHuberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity. Jake Jacobs, writer and penciler, and Kurt Brugel, co-writer and inker, are thrilled to announce the release of the first Turbo teaser, a significant milestone in the indie comic book industry. Jake and Kurt are the first and only duo to create a comic book live on air in a split-screen podcast. But that's not all. Recognizing the challenges and triumphs of indie comic creators, Kurt and Jake have another recurring segment of their podcast spotlighting other indie comic creators who share their stories, discuss their creative process, offer insights into audience building, and ponder the future of comics.
Howdy-ho and good morning, Jake. How are we doing up there?
Good. Hello. Welcome. We're doing good. I mean, considering it's a post-apocalyptic landscape, we
dealing with.
We must be doing something okay.
Yeah. I was just saying to you that the last episode was, I thought it was really done well. We had a really nice flow to it, and I'd like to keep moving along in that same way. Giving a little bit of like filler in. What not only what we're doing, but also like what we're thinking and questioning too. I think that's the thing. I think too is we're constantly using this for an educational basis for us.
Yeah, we're learning what to do, what not to do, and we're podcasting the making of a comic, and more than that, the making of a comic company or a comic concern, a comic publishing group. That's even branching out to a network of friends. But making a comic means all the parts of creation, and every once in a while we have a segment called Turbo Catch Up, right, where we kind of bring the viewer up to date on what's going on in the story and beyond, with no problem here, with spoilers. This whole project, Turbo Pit Fighter, is going to be a graphic novel, and 6-issue graphic novel with hundreds of pages. And it's a slow process working on. I just started page 2 last week. Issue 2, page 18 last week. And then, during the week, I'm doing all these pinups all the time. Yesterday I was on my Tumblr channel, Do Mags. It was the same thing. Lots of people coming and going. Dozens of people there, just always checking it out. Some comment and some don't. Most don't. They're just like, I guess, looking for some thrill. And then when they see somebody drawing slowly and talking about comics, that's maybe not what they're looking for. So then they check out, and then more.
Well, let me jump in just real quick. A lot of our true fans, if you will, people that I've had contact with, maybe in our community tab where we do some really good daily polling. They're telling me that they are using us as audio background while they're drawing. And I think a lot of us do that. If you're hearing my voice, this is the question, or this is the request, that I'd like to make. Make a comment, if you will, on something you would like us to talk about, or a question about Turbo, or what we think about something, and we will pick it up in the next episode. I will grab that request out of the comments, and I will send it to Jake, and the two of us can ponder it for the week, and then when we come and sit, we can do that. And I say that because, I think there's two kinds of people out there. There's the voyeur, the one that just sits back and enjoys watching. And then there's the one that kind of wants to create some kind of engagement. It doesn't have to be like the value of a host or a guest. It's just like, hey, wow, what do you guys think of this? Or I thought this, and something bounced back, or it helps us kind of move into the next space.
Yeah, everything's interactive now, and there's some people like Dan, who's a streamer, right? And he likes to flip through comics. I think he dabbled with some art at a time. Then there's other artists like us. There's writers. There's publishers. And everybody's got stuff to do, and we need some stimulation to keep us going besides caffeine. And so we put on podcasts and we listen to them. And I think it's a great idea when you're listening to a podcast to put it down and not burn your eyeballs out looking at little pixels. When it's just some talking heads and nothing's changing anyway, right?
Correct.
And so,
correct.
people need to get used to that. It's a multitasking world, and and the that's the shame of it too, is that there's so much data needed to show live visuals, and so much of it is people talking. I'm sure some entrepreneurial coder tech guy is going to come up with a some kind of compression algorithm that will take an hour of talking heads just bobbling back and forth, and and use some kind of compression to get those visuals down by repeating, by using repeated images in some kind of AI thing. I'm sure that's going to happen because you're not catching every little eyebrow wrinkle and nuance. You don't care, and the resolution is low anyway. You're just seeing you're just seeing the major contours of what people do. Oh, their eyebrows are up. Oh, look, they're making a shocking face. Okay, it's like what is the variance of people sitting there talking? And that's why we draw. We love comic cartoonist kayfabe and the information that they bring, but I don't want to sit there and look at two faces and two people's mouths moving. So that's why that's where this idea came from, and this is stuff that we would be doing anyway, except we're just using this time, and we made it a show, and I love doing the show, but we also have. We also never have enough time, to do the drawing and creation. So this is like our one sanctum time that we have put aside. And I should be getting back to some turbo pages, but I just want to talk about this sketch because I had it laying out there, and you told me to use it as a visual. This is a Hellclaw, and this is a superhero character. She's a glower from earlier in the prequel to Turbo Pit Fighter, in the 2100 or the 2000s or the 2100s. So let's say the 21st and 22nd century, and she's born with the ability to turn her hands into fiery claws, and she struggles to control that power, which is why she sought out Esoterra, who's kind of like she's considered a mystic, but she has like TED talks on the subject, and so that's why Hellclaw sought her out. And she's actually not a mystic; she's a scientist. But this is going to be in the future when science and mysticism converge. There's going to be a physics explanation for all of the powers that they have, and it's going to be like as if there was a scientific explanation for everything Doctor Strange did. That's going to be Esoterra, and Esoterra is going to be the mother of Elevena, and Elevena is going to take us to 2222 when the world breaks down, and that's going to explain the post-apocalyptic landscape that Turbo lives in 2240 in the 2240s. Hellclaw, I'm making here a cover that I hope to have eventually inked and colored and make this a cute little tile in a screen that has things to click on and is another offering. So I'm just flooding the zone here, with characters. And Hellclaw will not, she does not have a solo book in planning. She's part of the team of Hellclaw, Esoterra, and Chromita, the robot who built herself. And that's all part of the sci-fi story, the post-superhero / sci-fi story that I actually recently updated on hellclaw.com, although it's not public. If you want to see it, you have to be a prospective artist and say, let me see the series synopsis, and I'll see if I want to be an artist for this. So there's much more brief descriptions of all these characters on hellclaw.com. But if you want to see the whole thing laid out, issue by issue synopsis as it's being written and fleshed out, then be an artist and being involved here. I have some really good ideas that I've been putting down, and I want to somehow get that into a prose format that we can put in these zines that we're doing and these teasers and stuff to pad them with lots of cool content. And I don't know, maybe we'll have like separate editions or something, but yeah, that's Hellclaw. So I'm gonna jump off this. Look, if you see here at the bottom, there's going to be a masthead at the top that's going to say Hellclaw in like fiery graffiti letters, demonic graffiti letters. And down here at the bottom, it's going to say Doom Mags. If you can see down here, it's going to say Doom Mags with the logo and August 2164. And there's going to be 3 forms of payment accepted here. One is a fist that has the letters Duke. One is a little icon of a globe, which is going to be the global currency that is accepted to buy this comic. And the last one is 0.5K USD, which is going to be the value of it in US dollars, which is still around in 2164, because as we all know, the US government doesn't fall until 2222 on February 22nd, 2222, with a mini riot, with a smaller riot happening on February 2nd of 2222. But that's when the Tuesday cults predictions all come true and prophecy becomes real, and the DeHubertons get the upper hand on the U.S. government. So, it's all part of one big story. And do you have anything on your rundown? Because I have 3 little bullet points plus some show. 2 things to show and tell you. So, do you have anything on your rundown?
I wanted to pick up on something that you and I were discussing last night on the phone, and I expressed it to you, and I'm going to constantly be pushing you towards this direction. But it's also for any and everybody out there that's let's say struggling with their keeping consistency and in order creativity. Jake, you are a writer. This is what we left off last night in a conversation, and what I was giving you a suggestion towards is you already have a Substack, but to use that Substack as a journal type of place that even you're doing a weekly update. And then, of course, if I'm a subscriber to it, as I am, then the moment you publish that stuff, I'm receiving it, but I'm also having it on record so I can keep the email and I can continually make my own references to it. Because going back to what you were saying in hellclaw.com is, we're looking for individuals that want to do, work with us, as artists.
Partners, yeah,
And,
partners.
yeah. But, it's, most people out there when they're dealing with comic books, they're, they really want to do their own thing and, do it all by themselves. But our channel is here to convince others to work together. You don't have to work with us. I'm not putting this out because we want more people to work with us. I'm still on this inquisitive place where I don't understand why people are not working more and more with each other in a similar type of platform. I think you get a hell of a lot more done. You have a lot more consistency. You're holding each other to, a time frame where, shit's got to get done. So, it's one of those things. But for you, you're putting a lot of this stuff out in prose already. It's just, what maybe technically would be referred to as gobbledygook to all us lay people. But, with the assistance of like ChatGPT and conforming it into something that makes a decent Substack post, then, you already you're going to have a bigger foot up down the road than expecting people to listen to past podcasts to remember, what it is you're doing or saying.
Right.
And then of course, repeating yourself, just to make sure everybody is up to date and speed on the multiple expansive universe that you have going on in your bright and creative head. So just a
Yeah,
suggestion.
yeah. People are listening to me say, "Wow, this guy's got a lot of ideas that that are creating this timeline." But there's no way I can keep track of it. Where's the product? Where's the comic?
Yes.
Or where's the book? I'll read a book.
Yeah,
And you're right.
exactly.
You're right. Like I can take the fleshed out synopsis, tell Chat GPT, distribute this evenly into chapters. 4 to 5 panels on a page. And then you go in and then you really start to edit heavily. Because
Yeah.
Chat
Yeah.
GPT is a machine, and and it needs that
For
that human
productivity,
touch. Yeah.
streamlining your productivity. That's exactly what people should be using it for. Not making art with it. It's a crappy artist.
It's a time saver. You want it to help you
Yeah.
save some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have so I'm gonna be drawing these little turrets here next, and I'm really bogging down here into some small sizes of things. This is like a pretty involved page, so I'm gonna be trying to just power through this. But I wanted to show you. Um, I will do a little haul stack at the end. Well, maybe we'll only do like 5 of those. Because I'm petering out on that. But we have this, and as you can see, I added a lot more detail to the crowd.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And in fact, I just have like this left, and maybe like a couple of more heads here. I want to try to. I'll show this closely. I want to try to like somehow get out of this, so that I'm not drawing like individual faces smaller and smaller. We need to bottom line it. So I was looking at a couple of different references, on crowd scenes and stuff. One way to do it is to like put up fences, right? Another way to
Oh
do it
wow.
is just another way to do it is just kind of like simplify. Um, Here you can see they just simplify. They just use like a brush stroke and they just go, dot 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 instead of drawing humans. But I didn't want to do that in pencil necessarily, if that's going to be a product of the inking in the end anyway. So look here, they're just they're drawing like like 5 or 6 people in the foreground, and then in the background they're just doing scribble scrabble, you know and this
Impressionism.
this doesn't even really look like people. This looks like a pile of ash or something back there. So it's a tough call. Maybe one way to do it is to take like a photo of a real crowd and then Xerox it and Xerox it and Xerox it and Xerox it until it just becomes like design elements, and then ink over that with a light box or something. Yeah, maybe that's a good way to think about it. But I am closing in on finishing this, and I need you to tell me when to send it to you, or and for inking. And if it needs anything else, I feel like I need to kind of work on this leg down here a little bit more. I think this is kind of clunky. This is unfinished down here, but I was definitely finishing up the crowd scene here, and I might even rejigger some of her facial elements too, just to get them better how I like them. Then I showed you this, which is going to be the
Yes.
But then I was looking at this and I was thinking, this isn't going to be great for a lot of different applications. This might be good on this one page because I kind of painted myself in where we don't have that much room and it's just a thin band. But on a typical page, you want it to be more like a bigger readable masthead. So I made this to show you now.
Oh man, Jake.
And I think this is getting closer towards like a permanent logo.
You gotta send that to me.
Yeah,
that's 2024's. That's 2024's updated icon for Turbo.
I want people to notice too. If you do something like this and then you decide, I think I made the top word a little bit too tall. Here's all you got to do: get your camera out and then put this on an angle like this, and you can see right on screen what's happening right now. Is that the top line gets foreshortened, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. You do it like this. I was doing it the other way, right? You do it like this, and then you not only have it, more equalized, but your letters are also slightly in perspective now, which adds an element too. I do that a lot sometimes. I draw a full body figure, and before I start the background, I say to myself, wow, the head's too big. I'm going to foreshorten it just by taking a photo of it at an angle, and then take the photo and start with that and throw out the drawing. What else did I need to show you? Oh, so then we have that. We have this other sketch in here of, I think we were going to try to make this. We spoke about this, but we didn't look at the sketch. Want to try to maybe somehow make this new art the back cover.
Yeah,
and what we need to do is shrink it, and this might actually be fortuitous because I feel like we don't have enough of the motorcycle in here. So I'm going to draw like another inch up
Jake,
of the motorcycle.
This is what I was thinking because I saw it this morning when I edited the episode coming out next week. Is really what you need to do is just concentrate on what you have in the figure and the motorcycle. And don't worry about the background so much because that's going to get fixed. That's going to get filled in with all the text.
Yeah.
So that's enough. That's enough to really, wrap in text, and even to the top of her left, or the, I guess, on the left side of her head, up in that little triangle space. The only thing I would say add to that would be like some sort of like sound effect word, like lift or grunt. Something to that extent.
Here it says "Do Magazines Presents," and then I like this is in the format of a comic page, but here I Do Magazines Present and Turbo Pit Fighter. But if we're gonna say, hey, let's turn this into the zine back cover, I'm then we're just thinking about these spaces being opportunities to put in the text about the world and the DeHubertons and everything. So that's kind of what I'm working on. I'm working on that concurrently and with that cover and these pages, and I got a couple other things on my rundown. So a lot more happening here. The other thing I want to talk to you about is an auction. An auction happened, and we never really did the share screen thing yet. But should I try to share my screen now and show you some tabs?
You could give it a shot. We've not done it before.
Okay, I'm hitting
It'll be a
share.
learning experience.
All right. So here is.
I don't see anything.
Hold on, I just hit the button, and as I see the progress bar here, I think it's trying to share the screen. Is it working? Ah, is it working
No.
now? Oh, it's working on mine. It says
No.
sharing this to Riverside, and there's a big button that says stop sharing. No, you're not getting it? That's tough. Okay. Well, what I'm showing you is a page out of. I'm showing you a page out of CBR, which is a headline: Iron Man debut page, Leafield cap art, and early DKR Miller art score big at auction. Heritage Auction sold over $11 million worth of original art. And the picture that I'm showing is the famous Rob Liefeld Captain America pose where his chest is ridiculously out of proportion. You know, the image that everybody made fun of? Yeah.
Memed. It's memed to death.
Right. So that sold in the hundreds of thousands. Let's see. A page from Iron Man's debut set a record for Don Heck. Let's see, 1963, Tales of Suspense 39, a singular page sold for 336 thou, which is a record for Don Heck. And then they show you the page. Then they talk about in the mid 1990s, Rob Liefeld was the artist on Captain America, and his Captain America distinctive chest piece. By the way, Heritage does not disparage it and say this thing is famous because everybody was mocked. You there?
All right, welcome back.
Hey, I don't know what happened. When I stopped sharing screen, it kind of blew up my.
Kicked you out.
I don't know if that was my error or something else, but all of a sudden this little pop-up video from the website started playing audio, and I clicked what I thought was the tab, but I think that Riverside, because it was sharing that tab, showed it as the wrong tab. Never mind. The other thing I wanted to just notice is there was a headline that former Marvel Comics publisher John Nee and IDW's former editor-in-chief John Barber joined forces to create their own company, Pug Worldwide, and they're going to be starting out with Conan.
Whoa!
Yeah. So there's
next year,
a brand new brand new publisher coming out. This is dated November of 2023, so it's the first project is going to be an oversized edition of Marvel Conan titles from the 70s, Conan Colossal
Edition. Again.
And then
I mean, this will be like the fourth time they've dredged up that old stuff. They got to do something like super special to get anybody to buy that stuff.
It's interesting.
I mean, that'll probably be the most interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is a separate company. They're licensing the IP from, or the content from, Marvel, but they're putting it out under their own name, a new publisher that are former Marvel guys, and so they must know what they're doing.
Really?
Well, I guess we'll find.
You seem to have your faith very much locked up with these Marvel people.
Well, they are.
I just don't want you to be too disappointed or upset when it all shits the bed.
Well, let me just read you this blurb. It says Conan the Barbarian Colossal Edition is currently being crowdfunded on the platform Zoop.
Yes,
and it is going to be comprised of 11 by 17 scans of the Conan artwork from legendary creators Barry Windsor Smith, Jim Lee, John Buscema.
So it's an art book. It's an art book.
Well, they're going to be scanning the pages, and I think they're just going to be recreating them as they appeared in their original form.
The original art, or scanned pages from the magazines.
It doesn't say. It will feature
So that's the
a
weird.
foreword from Roy Thomas, and that's going to be the first thing. Yeah, and then they just have a lot of other. Yeah, so I thought that's interesting news. These publishers are popping up, and they might come and go. Who knows? But they're putting out products, so always interesting. To hear about that. What else? So the other thing that I want to talk about is I saw the Hunger Games movie, and I'm not sure where you weigh in on that.
Which one? Isn't there like six
Does
of
it?
them?
No, there was a trilogy of 3 featuring Jennifer Lawrence,
Right.
and they all
Right.
concluded. And then, because my wife is an English teacher, she knows all this stuff. Another book came out. It's a prequel, and it kind of sets up the story from 60 years before, when the bad guy named Snow
What?
is a young man, and it shows you kind of like his origin or his downfall, however you want to call it. And the movie was good. I think they had great casting. It is a sci-fi vehicle, and everybody knows. The concept is that these districts are forced to compete. Young people are forced to fight to the death in an arena. There are a lot of people that say that the concept was stolen from a Japanese movie, where their young people are put onto this island, and similar themes. But nothing has been as successful as the Hunger Games. It's in books, best-selling books, the movies. You got the merchandising, all that, and so this is a prequel that's come out, and apparently there's not going to be another one out. Or at least there's nothing planned. Right? They always say that.
No.
Um, it kind of
Bullshit.
well, it depends. When you have a J.K. Rowling, or this author is named Suzanne something.
Who's got to pay her taxes, and so she comes out with a prequel book to pay her taxes.
Right. Well, they have a lot of people that are pressuring them to write another book in the publishing world, and then to make another movie in Hollywood. And there's you know what? It's if people are going to see the movies and enjoy it, it's a lot of jobs. For people to make these movies.
Oh, sure.
I mean, obviously the book isn't a
Sure.
lot of jobs. It's just one person on a typewriter. But I'm going to say that this is a sci-fi franchise that really has captured, I think, a female audience.
Yeah.
In a decent way, and I mean that, like, not just the reading the books, but also the movies. Um, it's imaginative. It has, and it had some great scenes, twists and turns and stuff in there, ups and downs. So I'm gonna give it a maybe like 8 out of 10, 7, 8. Let's say 7, 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. And that was my movie. I also saw a couple of bad movies, and you're gonna laugh at this. You know that as of January 1st of this year, Winnie the Pooh became public domain.
Yeah, we talked about it.
So what we didn't talk about was a a movie called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey,
Yeah.
which is a piece of garbage. And this is the reason why public domain can be very, very negative. They took Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore and the piglet, and they made them into serial killers in a low budget slasher movie that has Winnie the Pooh in the title, and it's not for kids at all. It's a typical low budget slasher movie. It was horrible. It is like five young attractive girls check into a dorm in the middle of nowhere, into a rental in the middle of nowhere, right? And it's just the serial killers have a $20 rubber mask on that looks like Winnie the Pooh's face. That's the whole thing. And then it could have been any other slasher movie. It could have been Jason. It could have been, Friday the 13th. It could have been Leprechaun. It could have been anything. The only difference was that the mask looked like Winnie the Pooh. And then, and Winnie the Pooh, like, he kind of like dribbled honey on his victims. That's it.
What?
It's so it's that
oh
bad.
My Lord.
That bad.
Oh, I want to see it. Oh, you sold me.
Well, the reason why we checked it out is because it was on the list of worst Rotten Tomatoes movies of history. It was like 60th on the list of the worst movies ever made. And we said, this was Thanksgiving after we all ate, and we were just like, well, let's sit down and watch it. We were at my brother's, and we watched it, and what a piece of garbage. And and
did you make it all the way through?
We made it all the way through, but
we made
it all the way through. But
wow, that's saying something.
Well,
that's saying something.
We had like 8 of us there, and we were all doing Mystery Science Theater, having fun, and that's why we wanted a bad movie. But as far as the copyright as the former copyright holders and the estate and the family, this is their complaint. It's when they take these characters and they turn it into the zombie version or the serial killer version. And this was something that was meant for kids, and it does cause confusion in the marketplace. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, I think things should go public domain without a doubt. But what happens when these cheap exploiters, just make a mockery out of something and they change it from the original?
They're exploiting it. It's not making a mockery of it so much.
It's so bad.
It's an exploitation. That's what we're all about, Jake.
No, our exploitation. No, our exploitation is.
But it's the model. It's the model of how to get eyes on you. That's all they're doing. Like you said, they already had that slasher film written, and they've been trying to get funding. Yep. For the last 20 years, right? Yeah. Well, somebody said, hey, all we have to do is go and buy this $20 Winnie the Pooh mask and Eeyore and Piglet, and the three of us wear them, and we'll call it Winnie the Pooh, blah, 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 blah. But everything else is original to whatever it is they originally wanted to make as a cheap, exploitative, low budget, having fun, being young.
And I got it.
It's been happening over and over again. I mean, Dan over at Rave Sensations, he's been going through Men's Adventure mags collections, and one of them was just about sharks. I mean, it's like a 300-page book about all the things having to do with sharks, pre-Jaws, and then most definitely post-Jaws.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there was 8 within like 2 years, other Jaws-type movies. Sure. And it's just people willing to put money down in order to back something, to get it out in the public, to make their money back plus. That's entertainment.
Yeah, but...
That's entertainment.
Yeah, but
that's what we're trying to do.
But the genre jumping is what bothers me, right? Winnie the Pooh.
What? I don't get it.
Winnie the Pooh is public domain.
What do you mean the genre?
The genre jumping. Like if you're an artist and you want to make art, and you say, well, I don't care. I just want to make money any way possible, and I don't care. So you say, all right, let's take this kid's property and make it a serial killer slasher movie. It's just like, it's
why? What's wrong with that?
I guess it's there's nothing illegal about it, but
are you okay? Hold on. Are you worried about the legal or the moral ramifications, or
there
both?
Is no legal ramifications because it's public domain, and that's that.
Correct. So now you're talking about
let me tell you what happened.
Poor children.
Yeah, let me tell you what's happened over the years.
the
with
children.
clowns, with Santa Claus, and with some of these horror movies where kids are seeing them at young ages and they're getting traumatized. Do you know if you show a kid a picture of a clown today, they will recoil and cringe, and all they know
Yeah.
is that clowns are evil, clowns are bad, clowns are scary, clowns are child molesters, they're serial rapists, they're everything bad. And and so what do you do if you're a clown and you perform it?
Clowns have been creepy. I'm going to post some of those 50s paintings people used to hang in their houses of clowns, and they are the creepiest things in the world, next to the big-eyed children paintings that woman made. Her husband made
I
a fortune
have
off of
I
her
have a
for
I have a
doing. You know what I
slideshow. I
mean?
have a slideshow that talks about the history of clowns. And if people don't know the history of clowns, you gotta look up.
Send in the
Yeah, you got to look up the
clowns.
that famous opera Pagliacci, and you also have to look up the famous 18.
But why do we have to segregate things based on taste? Isn't it better for the best things to rise above because it has shit supporting it?
Well, some things are.
Isn't that really the best way of getting there, instead of just having this one thing be so honored and adored that nothing can come within its sensitive sphere?
No, it's not that. I mean, I would expect that there would be, creators of kids content making good and bad and mediocre Winnie the Pooh stuff this year. But
Right,
but
right.
to take it and bastardize it in this way, you're tainting the jury for the future, so that you screw it up for everybody else. And some parent out there is going to say, I'm not going to buy my kid a Winnie the Pooh book because I saw that terrible movie. You know?
Oh, so now you're worried about the people who own the content that was made before the
No,
expiration,
no. Well, I
the
mean,
copyright
no,
expired.
they're screwed no matter what. Their stuff expired. I mean, actually, they argue it's better.
No, their stuff did not expire. They still own the copyright to the materials that they publish, as long as they keep it in print. The moment it goes out of print, which is, by the way, I am not an attorney and I am not giving legal advice. The moment, I think it exceeds 28 years or something like that. And by the way, too, the reason I make that statement is because right now, because of AI, this copyright thing for creativity is changing probably on a monthly basis, on nano little changes. But if you don't keep things in print, I think between like up to like around 28 years or something like that, it becomes what's called orphan.
Yeah,
And so then only the estate or the publishing company, if it still exists, has to, reprint it. That's why you get all of this horrendous reprint material from Marvel and DC.
yeah.
It's
Which
exactly
which
why. Because if they
which wouldn't
don't,
be so
it
bad.
all lapses into
Yeah, it
orphan.
wouldn't be so bad except for the coloring. but
Yeah, exactly. And if they put a little bit more extra time and creativity
color it
to it,
nicely.
but they
Give it, yeah. So the
exactly.
other thing that people are waiting on pins and needles right this second is to find out whether Disney is going to challenge the law, that the extension, I should say, because Mickey Mouse is coming up, and every
Yeah.
January there's going to be a whole bunch of new characters. It's not 100 years; it's like 96 years or something. But
Yeah, but they were the ones that lobbied for that
exactly,
change, and so they're
it's
gonna they're gonna
this.
constantly be lobbying for a change. They'll pay
Yeah, but it
politicians
looks
in
like,
order to
but
keep that stuff away
but
from
we're
public
careening.
domain.
We only have weeks away. As we're recording this, we are in late November, and Mickey and Steamboat Willie, the first year of Mickey Mouse offerings, is coming due this January, and the amendment, which is called the Sonny Bono Amendment on copyright, that Warner Brothers and Disney and the big copyright holders had created years ago. It's coming up now, and Mickey Mouse is going to be the first big test, and Superman isn't going to come up for another 10 years. but they're all coming up around the bend, and you might even see big companies like DreamWorks SKG or somebody else creating a Superman movie, starting production in a couple of years, in anticipation of that. So that's why creators need to have certainty. Like whatever they're going to decide, let us know.
What? What? I don't understand what you mean. Creators need to have certainty.
If you're going to create something that's going to be public domain because it's expiring, it might take you 4 or 5 years to make a full length animated movie, let's say. Or it might take you, a year or, to make years to make a graphic novel. And then only to
Okay.
find out that the copyright is extended and you did all that work for nothing. You can't release your product, so.
We'll go. Well, no, you can go and get a licensing agreement
Or you could try to get a licensing agreement,
from
right? But
yeah.
what
There are channels. There are channels to be dealing with.
I mean,
Unless you're going to do something like the Winnie the Pooh slasher movie, I doubt.
Yeah, it's
Disney's going to be like, yeah, go for it, guys.
yeah. I mean,
And here's $100 million to help you.
you're going to see that with Mickey Mouse. You're going to see that with Mickey Mouse, and it's happening in January. And everybody is really surprised that Disney hasn't at least tried to get a stay while they try to get an extension and lobby and pay off
Yeah.
the congressman on the committee and all that. So that's happening really, really soon, and it's going to be a big deal, like to say, well, Minnie was in that first episode, and Clarabelle the cow was in the first episode, but they're not going to be able to use the Mickey Mouse the way he looked later. You're only going to be able to use the way he looked in the original Steamboat Willie episode, and there's going to be a lot more coming right around the bend. I think Popeye and Felix the Cat are all in those early 20s.
But Jake, the truth is this: there are so many characters out there to be templating some type of storyline and arc that you, as a producer, let's just say, or publisher, would like to use to encourage a storyline and stuff. You almost sound like you're talking as if there's an end to children's
In this innocence, yeah,
storytelling
Mickey Mouse.
from Winnie the Pooh, yes, innocence, very good. From Winnie the Pooh to Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
Because like if you gave me the opportunity for free to go see a movie with popcorn and soda pop included, between the newest Mickey Mouse movie and the newest SpongeBob movie, guess which one I would go to?
exactly. Right, but
That's
but
right.
Mickey Mouse, but there's gonna
Which one? Which one? Which one?
Mickey Mouse.
No way!
Really?
I would see SpongeBob. Yes, I would see SpongeBob.
Oh boy. Well, he's not.
SpongeBob is so much more interesting by dynamic generation.
Yeah, but it's going to be
than your poor little Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, when it becomes public domain, is going to be serial killer Mickey Mouse. They're going to have drug dealer Mickey Mouse. They're going to have Bill and Ted Mickey Mouse. They're going to have zombie Mickey Mouse. They're going to really do everything. Mickey Mouse is going to be used and abused, turned out like a $2 prostitute, because Disney was the lobbyer to extend the copyright law.
Just to get back at
Yeah,
him.
and what's going to be funny? They're going to be able to release Space Pirates. Remember? The underground classic that touched off a free speech, First Amendment, and parody lawsuit, but they lost, and
it's like Spaceballs.
Yeah, Rip Off Press, I think it was, or Last Gasp, or one of them. They did Air Pirates, which was Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and these guys were all drug dealers, like coming over the border, and dealing like some serious like weight of pot or coke or something, and Disney successfully sued the shit out of them in the, I think, early 70s. So yeah, enough about that. Let's transition to my last subject.
Well, we're okay because now we're at 50 minutes because we like to keep these things 45 minutes
Great,
long, bite size.
great.
So
Well,
let's
my last
bring
my
it to a
last
close.
subject will kind of put this into a bow, because I think Marvel is being strategic. The public domain Spider-Man is decades away. The first Spider-Man comic came out in 1962 or three, and so we're 20 years away of Spider-Man becoming public domain. But what has Marvel started to do already? Marvel has very intentionally created something they call the Spider-Verse, where everybody is Spider-Man now. You're Spider-Man, your mother's Spider-Man, your pregnant aunt is Spider-Man. And it's an interesting way to look at it. They want to say, well, Miles Morales, he's a little person he's a teenager of color, and we want our readers to identify with that. We want women to identify with Spider Gwen, aka Ghost Spider, very popular title. They want classic Spider-Man users, to see those stories, and then they want Spider-Man to also have legs coming out of his back, and then they want Venom, and they have all these different things. So I'm watching the Hunger Games, and what comes on the previews? Well, and this is where Kurt is cringing. If you could see Kurt's face right now, he's the stress lines. But I saw the preview for Aquaman 2,
I did
which
too.
is pretty much everything you saw in Aquaman 1, except for Johnny Depp's girlfriend. She's out. Um, and then I saw a preview, and the Marvel logo pops up on the screen, but it says Sony in conjunction with Marvel, and I'm like, oh, Sony. So this must be something to do with Spider-Man, because Sony has a special deal when it comes to movies involving Spider-Man. Sony has a exclusive on that. So Sony makes the Marvel Spider-Man movies, whereas all these other movie makers like Universal and Disney, and making all the other ones, but Sony has the rights. So I'm watching this, and they have Dakota Johnson, who is the actress from 50 Shades of Grey, and there's a super team of 4 female super sleuths, and there's this bad guy who looks like Spider-Man, but he's got an all black costume, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're they're going through this preview where this girl, Dakota Johnson, has powers of premonition, like she lives through these experiences, but then she could rewind, and then she could like try to avert the problem a second time. So there's going to be some weird like time travel thing with this, but I'm waiting and waiting to the end, and I'm like, okay, is this going to be Spider Girl? Is this going to be Spider Woman? Who is this going to be? There's a comic on the stands now called Silk, which seems like it has a female spider characters. We also that there's all these different variations in the Spider verse movies, that have all these different spider-ish characters. And so it turns out at the very, very end, they give you the name. I'm so disappointed with the name of this movie. And it's basically going to be
Karen.
it's yeah, like that. They're calling so it's going to be called Madam Web.
Yeah.
And Madam Web is that name references an elderly character that appeared in Spider-Man 285 in a random issue in 1981 that nobody knew about or cared. And they're making her, I guess, young, although the name sounds, like old and decrepit. And I looked at I went home and looked at some YouTube videos, that have like rumors and Marvel spoilers and Marvel rumors and all that. And apparently, this super team of super sleuths is going to eventually become Spider Girl and Spider Woman and Madam Web and something else. So I think they're just using this as a prequel, and it's going to involve Mary Parker, who is Peter Parker's mother, and Ben Parker, who we all know is Peter Parker's uncle, and they're going to wind a web of a tale, and that makes the latest Marvel movie. It'll be out in February. It's already been pushed back 3 times. And so the preview was finally released, and it made me nuts because there's some things that are potentially intriguing, and there's some things that make me nuts. Like, why would you call it Madam Web instead of Spider-Woman or Silk or something?
They're running out of fancy ways to sell these. Okay, I think they're trying to reverse engineer through advertising how to keep the old people like us engaged, since our children are now off having their own children. I seriously believe that that's probably coming across the boardroom. Is, well, why can't we just bring it all back to the 50-somethings now? They were the ones that kept us alive.
Yeah.
They were the ones that brought all their kids out. Now their kids are having kids. Now they don't, and those kids are playing Fortnite and blah, 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 It's so...
Yeah, they're getting some...
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all of this, Jake. Seriously. But
what?
I just don't have any bandwidth for it. I don't have any concern for it. I don't have any. I have nothing in the game when it comes to Marvel DC Universe. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well,
and the reason is because I don't have kids. I hear it in your voice, and then I even have it in my head where I remind myself, it's like, oh, well, he's got 2 daughters, and he's, that's
it's
how
not my daughters, it's my students. I take a field trip of kids. I mean, I never had a bit better field trip than seeing the first Wonder Woman movie. Never had a better field trip. The kids were asking, and I took almost all girls, and they were asking me, they literally were saying, can we come back tomorrow and see it again?
That is great.
Yeah, and so there is some positive going on for another generation. But then you see the sequel, and it's the worst movie ever made, right? And now I think and Gal Gadot.
I don't know.
Oh God, Wonder Woman 1984 with.
Yeah, I still haven't seen.
Oh, okay. Well, then no wonder. Well,
it's for that reason. That's for that reason, is that I'll probably love it because everybody hates it.
I don't know if there's anything there, man. Another big issue. Another big issue is that Gal Gadot is wading into political waters as perhaps the most famous Israeli actress in Hollywood, actor/actress.
Sure.
So who knows what's going to happen with that, but. The country divided. That's where we're at. Just timestamp it and end the episode. What can you say? I'm working on this very complex, panel here. So this is going to take me a while. I'm gonna try to get past this panel by today, so we can do the rest of this page. And this is going to be a pretty cool action scene where warrior nuns are blowing away these soldiers, but it's all going to come crashing down when the orphanage.
Well, my goal is, this is the last page. This is page 12 of the first issue. It's page 6, which is what we need for the second Turbo teaser. We have already started prepping for it. We have some ideas. One of the suggestions I made, and I'm going to push for it next episode, Jake, is that we have, between the two of us, 16 sheets of paper where we can start arranging them in front of each other and making red line notes on what's going to be on the cover, what's going to be in the back, what's going to, how we're going to start laying out because the following episode, you will have my first draft of the close to completed inks of pages 7, 8, 9, 10, and 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. So with that being said, we are heading into Turbo teaser number 2 territory, which is very exciting, which is going to be the first thing that we're going to be concentrating on heavily through the month of January. And I also want to make a shout out that we are going to start taking on interviews. I think the 14th. I don't want to say anything quite yet, but we do have a 14th and the following Sunday 2 interviews with 2 fantastic indie creators. So finishing up 2023 strong, and we're going to be going into 2024 even stronger. But that's all I have, Jake. Let's let these good people get back to reading comics, making them if they do. What do you got on the out, Jake?
That's it. We had a good year. We're wrapping up, and the interviews are going to book pretty fast. The Turbo teaser number 2 is coming out. I don't have any copies left of the first one. I could be going down to a con today in Flushing, but I'm not going. I have no wares. So let's just catch you guys all next Sunday, and listen to us while you're doing something productive. Let's hang together.
Make comments on what you want us to talk about.
Definitely.
Thank you, everybody.